Okay, so welcome back to the diary room for cycle two.
Thank you.
So a lot of
I'm here
drama,
for the fans, and by that I mean for the points, but I'm here for the fans.
right? A lot of drama obviously went down this cycle, so I'd love to hear how you felt about everything from your perspective.
I felt like I wish that we had advance notice that the circus was going to be in town, but it was I don't even know. I come back from meetings at work and I'm like, "Oh, I'm in an alliance. That's pretty cool." I don't remember anyone bringing one up, but I mean, sure. And I look, and the first thing I see is someone being like, "I would like to leave the alliance." And I'm like, "What on God's name did I just miss?" And then finally go to bed. I don't know. I don't understand what Brandy thought she was accomplishing with all the drama. Like when someone's trying to do something to save you and is literally the only chance that you have, and you will be leaving the game otherwise. I I think that was pretty clear. I don't know why she would just throw it back in Livy's face to the point where there was a bit where I was like, is this staged? Is this some kind of strategy? Because it just doesn't add up.
Right. Okay, so how did you feel about Brandy's departure from the game?
I didn't like it. I wanted other people to have to do to like the thought process I had to last time about the do I want to throw my vote away and potentially annoy somebody, or do I want to keep the points? And honestly, I feel like with most people, like if any of the groups is going to have to lose their points, I'd kind of like it to be the social group. So like I don't know. I'm kind of sad that they didn't have to take that thought process or waste any points or anything like that. And it also means that we don't have an answer yet on whether anything happens with Zareen or like if there's anything like a trend of not getting the tag. So like I don't know. I feel like as a whole, I'm kind of upset that it's the case. Like the vote was a given anyway, and like I feel kind of bad with like being critical, but like at the same time, it's like I kind of feel like it's not great that she left.
Right. Good. Now that you brought that up, yeah, so you did obviously, throw a hinky vote there the first cycle. Have you felt any repercussions for that, or do you feel like nobody noticed, or
Oh,
like,
everybody noticed. I mean, I told people directly that it was the closest thing to anyone like noticing and having to talk it out was Brandy had come up to me. I mean, again, if I was going to feel any repercussions from it, I'm not going to now because the person I threw a vote on is no longer in the game and no longer in the server, so can't come back to the game. So, I mean, I'll feel like a coast is clear there, so to speak. But I did have Brandy come to me about like, hey, so if someone's telling me that they think that you were to vote for me, like I was. This is why, and I explained it, and we did have a whole like a while of back and forth conversation, which I expected because I know that Michael had told me that he attempted to ask her like, hey, can I vote you even though you're gonna stay, and she really didn't like that idea, which is why he did take the penalty. But I was like, I figured it'd be easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. So I did it like that, and I had her. We had it back and forth like that, where it was basically like I didn't want you to leave the game. I knew you like I was 100% sure you'd be leaving, and it helped that I had reasonings for the things that she said. Like the big thing is she's like, well, everyone else took the penalty, and I'm like, yeah, and the fact that I knew that everyone else was going to take the penalty is why I was 100% sure that you were going to be safe because if they were taking the penalty, it would have been a closer vote. But like, I was the only vote against you. It wasn't even close to you being in danger. And I'm like, I was basically like, would you be happier if I had the point penalty and did not try and go for something to help? And then eventually, she's like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not going to hold it against you. And I'm like, okay, thanks. That's all I needed.
fair enough. So, since so much of the cycle was really dominated by, you guys just kind of waiting for Brandy to leave. How do you feel like that changes the dynamics now that Brandy is gone? Kind of talked about it a bit in your diary room, but
See, like, I don't know. I don't feel like anything from this week really changes that much directly, with one exception. The only person who I feel like is going to be that impacted as a result of this cycle is actually Livy, because with the alliance having been leaked, and not the reasoning of it being to save Brandy, but it being leaked with the thing that Livy had brought up as it being like an anti-men alliance, with that being leaked around and with the guys bringing it up, I know that like Shinx made a point of that being what he referred to the alliance as. I think that if Livy loses her immunity and one of the guys wins the HOH, I feel like there is a much better chance that she goes on the block than there would have been otherwise. Besides that, I feel like the cycle kind of just, I don't know, it kind of felt more like a break week than anything. Like, there was like stuff that changed from like talking or not talking to people, but like there really wasn't anything impactful besides the drama part, and the drama part really only affected like two people. Like the other people in the alliance, the narrative, even from what Livy was saying to say, is like the hey, this was made without your permission. Like it was just you were thrown into it. And the other person impacted is Brandy, who isn't in the game anymore. And so really, I think that's the only real impacts there's going to be from this cycle. I don't feel it. I don't feel like there's much that's going to come from this one specifically that wouldn't have happened if this cycle didn't happen. Like if it was just skipped, basically.
all right, fair enough. So the next HOH begin in an hour. Do you feel like this is one that she will be gunning for?
See, I am torn. I don't think that I want to gun for it. I always like to go into an HOH or like different comps and be like, what reason do I have to win this? And if I'm looking at it in terms of what reason do I have to win this, the answer is I don't, because I don't really have anything I can safely do for nominations. Like I've had ideas of like I could try doing whatever, but like either way, I have to put somebody up on the block that I'm not going to want to put up on the block. So basically it's like I would be a lot happier if someone that I am close to wins the HOH than I would be if I won it myself, especially because normally week one of a game is like the 3 week, and then week two is the week where it's like, okay, now you're really the first person to get blood on your hands. Going off of when I said that this cycle was basically a break week, I feel like this is going to be the first week where someone like actually has to get blood on their hands. And I do not want to be the person in that position. It's not normally a very good position to be in. My big problem though is it's less about do I want to win, which I don't, but there are people in this game. I mean, I feel like even the people who I have low on my trust ranking for the most part aren't going to win. So like I feel like there's only really one person in the game who I'm like, I would rather win the HOH than have them win it, but I would rather lose the HOH than have anyone else in the game win it, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I think I'm not going to win it. I think I'm not going to go for it unless it ends up being something like an elimination style competition, and I'm still in with people who I do not wish to win the competition. In which case, I might go for it to prevent that being the case. But
fair enough. So, okay. So then, if not you to win, then who would you view as like ideal people to win the HOH?
I want Brandy to come back and win the HOH, but I don't think that's an option. I don't know. Like the people at the top of my list would be my biggest ones. Like, I mean, if like Jordan obviously can't win the HOH back to back, but like if Michael or Crow did, I'd be really happy with that. Same with Ryan and Blaze. Aiden, I want to say I would be, but like the truth is, I don't feel confident that I'm going to like whoever Aiden puts on the block as nominees. So like really any of who I said, or I guess MJ too, just because like I don't feel like MJ would put up anybody in the I don't feel like MJ would put up anybody from our major. So like that's a lot better outcome than some. Basically those are it, but like the only ones I can think of where I'm like, you know what, I think that in most situations I would probably be at least somewhat happy with it would be like Michael, Crow, Ryan, and maybe Blaze, depending on where their head's at. A lot of my problem is I don't know who most people would put up if they won. I mean, I don't even know who I'd put up if I won, but like this week's gonna be so up in the air. So I'm just hoping that it ends up being like someone near the top, because like I feel like everyone lower is going to put up at least somebody who I do not want to see go on the block.
All right, sounds good. So just kind of my last question will really be posted your trust ranking. Obviously, do you kind of want to comment a bit more about how you're feeling about people in the house?
Sure. I mean, like most of it's just been like kind of the same, which is the reason why I didn't really put much of like write ups. Like for instance, the top tier is basically like Mike, like Crow is literally where he was because there's people who fell below him and people who went above. But it just like, yeah, it's like the top ones are basically like Michael is like stayed where he was because it's like, hey, I've talked strategy with the top people on the list. I have alliances with the top people. Well, Michael is the one who I've had definitely the most strategy talk with. So they're the three who I'm the most like, okay, if they win, I would be included in what they do, like, and they would talk it out, like, as opposed to others where it's like, I feel like half the people in this game try and come off as if they're like allergic to strategy talk instead of anything like that. But like, they're kind of there. I don't know. I don't really have, because of how slow this week is, like, besides the parts I put in the, like, either like the little bit of filler I put afterwards or like the description I put instead of the letter names, there isn't really much that I can say with it because like really there's not many people that moved on my trust ranking. Like the only people who moved more than like two spots were the people who are now like, oh, like Shinx and Malik, who are like near the bottom just because we haven't talked strategy in the slightest. I have no actual connection with them. Well, Brandy's gone now. And then Aiden, who's just, I like him, but I feel like everybody does. Kind of the same reason why Shinx is so low on my list, with the difference being that I feel like Aiden is a lot more likely to prioritize me compared to Shinx. And Ryan has just gone up a lot because like he was low before because we barely talked, and then he started talking, and then he was like, I want to make an alliance. What are we gonna do? And then it was, of the alliances I'm in, it's the one that happened where like it started from me talking to somebody else instead of me getting added, the one that like was conceptualized by other people. So I'm like, okay, if I'm the person who's coming to with it, I am more willing to trust him. So really those are the only interesting notes I have with it. Like everything else just would be reiterating or not really much to say with, truthfully.
All right. Well, thank you, Sammy. This is very insightful as usual.
Welcome.
Please. So yeah, if you ever want to do another live DR for Cycle 3, just let us know, of course.
Sounds good. I will probably see you in some point in that cycle then.
Period. All right. You have a good
You too.